advised that everything in my video is purely for entertainment purposes. These are purely my thoughts and opinions and are subjective. I must advise you to please do your own research. All media used was found on the public domain and are fair use and fair dealings. There is a comical element to everything I say. Do not take it personally.
YouTube, welcome back to my channel. So Meghan and Harry have decided to try and get some good publicity. This is quite a desperate but measly attempt from the both of them to be relevant and look good and try and get some positive feedback, but this is just not flying. This is just not washing. Nobody is having it. So I've come across quite a few articles. One is from the Daily Mail and it is titled "Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are delighted as BBC pledges £90,000 generated from their wedding broadcast to help a hunger charity amid the COVID pandemic." What do I think about this? I think it's ridiculous, and I'm going to tell you why I think it's ridiculous. Now, to me and you, we're everyday people, £90,000, to give away £90,000 is a lot of money. But considering they are trying to be A-listers, they're trying to be Hollywood royalty, they're trying to be upcoming stars, she's trying to be some kind of Disney princess or some kind of Oscar-winning award actress. This is really embarrassing considering they've donated £90,000 and from what sources have confirmed online, her wedding dress was $400,000. So let's put it into context so you can see how little Meghan and Harry actually think of the general British public. So they've donated this money to a British charity, and it wasn't even a charity of their selection or that they was directly affiliated with. So I'm going to read the article here. BBC are donating money from Harry and Meghan Markle's wedding broadcast. Pledge 90k to Feeding Britain, which provides UK families with hot meals. Archbishop of Canterbury, who presided the 2018 marriage, is president of the charity. So the BBC has actually on their behalf decided to donate £90,000, which I think would have been with a little nudge and instruction from Meghan and Harry to donate this money. And it starts here. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex have arranged for money to be generated from their royal wedding broadcast to be used to help feed children during the COVID pandemic. Harry and Meghan asked for 90k, the excess profits from the BBC's broadcast to be given to the charity Feeding Britain. A spokesman for the couple said they had been moved to hear of the organisation's work during the COVID crisis. And then it talks about them quitting as senior royals. They became aware of Feeding Britain after paying a royal visit to the Feeding Birkenhead community supermarket in Merseyside in January last year when Meghan was pregnant. And it goes on and on and on. And then it says that they had fond memories, apparently, when they visited the headquarters. And the couple felt it was particularly fitting to be able to support the Archbishop's charity after he played such an important part in their lives and their wedding day. Andrew Forsyth, National Director of Feeding Britain, said, "We are incredibly grateful for such generous support, which, thank God, will sustain our emergency response to COVID until the schools return." And I do think that this money is going to go to a good place. I'm not very moved by the amount. I think that considering their wedding day cost the taxpayer about $45 million, which is about 30 million pounds. So considering they're only donating 90k, which wouldn't even cover Meghan's wardrobe for a week, I think it's actually quite disgusting. And I'm going to also talk about what their A-lister friends, who they are desperately trying to be like, have actually done. So it goes on to say, during that time, there are many tens of thousands of children who we are helping to supply with breakfast, lunch and dinner every day. So this is actually what this charity does, which the Archbishop of Canterbury is a head of. We're just so grateful that the Duke and Duchess have contributed to that programme. Now, obviously, they have to make it look good. This probably won't really run that long. £90,000 when you're feeding thousands and thousands of children, you do the maths, it's not a lot of money. The BBC covered most of the cost of the wedding broadcast and used money raised from transmission rights and subsequent sales. It was agreed at the time of the wedding that if there were any excess, a percentage of the profits would go to a charity nominated by Harry and Meghan. So the reality of it is this money was allocated out of their budget. So it shows you that they haven't even gone into their personal funds to actually donate, which I think is really disgusting. And I'm going to go into some of the things that their A-lister pals have done, but not only what their A-lister pals have done, but things that people all around the world have done. Now, there's this guy who is he's a 99-year-old, he's coming up to 100, army veteran. I'm sure everyone's heard of him. And he has raised more than £9 million just walking laps. I mean, he's extremely old, and I take my hat off to him for doing this. But he's taken it upon his own back to raise, well, he was trying to only raise £1,000, but he's raised over £9 million as it stands for the National Health Service. And it's just absolutely amazing. So he's called Tom Moore, and I just can't believe how much, and he really does put Meghan and Harry to shame. So this is a publication from the BBC, and they just interviewed him and just talked about what he's achieved. So I'm going to read a little bit here. Tom Moore aimed to raise £1,000 by completing 100 laps of his Bedfordshire garden by Thursday, and he said, "Every penny that we get, they deserve it. They deserve every one of it." And he was talking about the NHS. He said that the total exceeded the 5 million mark. He hasn't taken any money from the UK. He's just an honest working, he was a civil servant, honest working guy who's now a pensioner, he puts them to shame. Then they carry on to say, Tom Moore began raising funds to thank the magnificent National Health Service staff who helped him with treatment for cancer and a broken hip. So he just wanted to give a thank you. And this is what happens when you do something from a genuine place. When something comes from the heart, it tends to quadruple and quadruple into something bigger than you ever expected it to be. So this guy actually has a walking frame, like a Zimmer frame, so he can't walk that fast, but he's doing the best that he can. And what he's actually shared with the media is that he's not going to stop, and as long as this crisis is going on, he's going to be out there walking. So I'm really moved by this story. I think it's absolutely amazing. And it just says here, with the aid of a walking frame, he hoped to walk 100 laps of the 25-metre loop in his garden in Marston, Mortain, in 10-lap chunks before his 100th birthday. How sweet is that? This guy is so old, and he's just, he makes my heart melt. It says here, more than 450,000 people from around the world have donated money to his fundraising page since it was set up last week. So he's done this in 1 week. All the while, Meghan and Harry were basking on a sun lounger in Malibu, right? Putting their feet up. They haven't dipped into any of their personal funds. Are these the type of people that people are going to be donating to? Whoever gives this couple money is absolutely out of their mind to be funding people at a time of crisis, one of the most desperate points of human existence. Don't even want to dip into their own funds. This is what Matt Hancock, our health secretary, said. "I want to pay a special tribute today to Captain Tom Moore. Captain Tom, you are an inspiration to us all, and we thank you." So it's just absolutely amazing. His daughter said, Mr. Moore's daughter, Hannah Ingram Moore, said, "They had thought raising £1,000 was a real stretch, and the latest total was just absolutely amazing." And I really think that it really is amazing, and the world needs more people like him. And I do believe that he's going to do more and more and more. I can see him raising 30 million, 40 million. Who knows? The sky's the limit. When you're doing something from the right place, you who knows? There's no limit. There's no ceiling that the Lord can put on what it is you can do. I know not everyone's religious, but that's just how I see it. There's nothing that the Lord can't do. I just wanted to also talk about Meghan and Harry's A-lister pals, or their hopeful A-lister pals, who they are aspiring to be like. So they've moved to LA. They have Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie's former PR and security and la-di-da, right? And they are trying to be like these people. They're acting as though they are these people. They've put the middle finger up to the British taxpayer. Are they donating like these people? No, they're not. So George and Mel Clooney have pledged over $1 million to more than 6 COVID-19 causes. So it says here, this was reported by Sky News. Hollywood couple have pledged more than $1 million, which is £803,000, with the money understood to be shared between 6 COVID-19 causes. U2, the famous band, the famous singer, the Irish rock band, has donated €10 million, so that's 8.7 million, to buy personal protective equipment, PPE, for frontline staff in Ireland. Wow. Now that is a proper donation. That is that is something to write home about. So Angelina Jolie, and we know that she's very philanthropic and she's very generous and always has been, and she's a humanitarian by spirit, by the bones. And it says here, the Hollywood actress and humanitarian has donated $1 million to fight child hunger during the outbreak of the COVID. Rihanna has really made a massive donation. So it says here, Rihanna, the singer's Clara Lionel Foundation, CLF, has donated £4.2 million towards organisations in the US and around the world. So she's actually found a way to kind of help every single country, because this is a global issue. This is not just a national issue. So funds will go towards food banks in America, protective equipment for frontline health workers, research to develop a vaccine, and work to accelerate testing and care in countries such as Haiti and Malawi. Wow. I am just mind blown that a celebrity of that magnitude would be so generous. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds love this couple. Ryan Reynolds has, along with his wife, the Hollywood couple have donated $1 million to help provide food for older people and low-income families. Wow, this is the type of stuff we need. Love this. In a post shared on Instagram, Deadpool star Ryan Reynolds said COVID has brutally impacted older adults and low-income families. Loving that. Roger Federer, love Roger Federer. Always want him to, I always watch him at Wimbledon. So he has donated 1 million Swiss francs, which works out to £861,000 for the most vulnerable families in Switzerland. Meghan and Harry want to be A-listers, but do they live like A-listers? Do they donate like A-listers? Do they walk and talk like A-listers? Do they have refinement, class? No, they don't. They're tacky. You're going to give us £90,000 of our own money back to one charity? Yeah, I'm really happy for that charity, but come on, it's embarrassing. They needn't have bothered. I'm really sorry. I know that sounds awful. For those who are relying on that charity, I'm really grateful that they have that extra funds. But it's embarrassing. It's an embarrassing measly donation, considering they've taken millions and millions. They take 20 million or more of us for security alone. Meghan Markle spent £1 million on her clothes in 2019 and 18, I believe. She's worn dresses that are worth more than that. Come on, pull your socks up. Anyway, so I'm going to whiz through a couple of comments that people have left on the actual article by the Daily Mail, and they're quite hilarious and they echo the same sentiments. So someone said, excuse you, that is also our money and I want a refund. Someone else said, it's not dipping into their own pockets though, is it? And they didn't pay for their own wedding either. That was courtesy of his father and the taxpayers. Putting your name to something doesn't make you a philanthropist. This is how much the Dior tent dress she wore in Morocco costs. That's what someone said. This is how much the Dior tent dress she wore in Morocco costs. So much for privacy. PR machine working day and night. Go away is another comment. Yes, Meghan really cares with her designer wardrobe of clothes that would feed thousands. Okay, guys. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. It's embarrassing. I think the public has spoken. This is not a generous donation. This is a pittance compared to how much money Meghan spends in, 24 hours. I think she spends that in a day, right? I think she does. How much did that house that we paid for, that they've moved into, cost? Was it $12 million? That Mel Gibson house? Which more than likely they have bloody bought. Anyway, guys, I'm going to go. Bye, guys.